Okay, so it's 12:05. I think we should start with those who are here. I sent an email to those 19, 20 who registered, and we hope they will join us. Can someone confirm you can see the presentation screen?
Sí, Yasin.
Okay, great. So welcome everyone. This is a session. Okay, people are coming in. I have to approve participants as they come. So I might sometimes stop speaking. So this is a meeting or a webinar or a conversation that we're starting, sparked by the research of Camille Camacho. She will present what she's doing and why all this. And because it was matching an ongoing work that we're doing at the Alliance for Affordable Internet, we decided to open this dialogue in the Caribbean region about the digital rural gap. The agenda is on the next slide. Why is the slide not? I need to go to the next slide, please. Okay. No. Oh. Sorry, my PowerPoint viewer just crashed. Just a second. Let me relaunch. Okay. Just a second. Excuse me about that. It's here. Close. Okay. Are you seeing it now?
Yes, again, Yasin.
What is the agenda? Oh, the agenda is here. Okay, so I let Kemi take control. You make the introductions, and when it comes to the short sections, I'll come back speaking. I will be approving people if they come in meanwhile.
Okay. Hello, my name is Kemli Camacho. I'm very happy to have this conversation with you all. I'm a consultant, a researcher on ICT and the social impact of the ICT. And at this moment, we are doing a research, in-depth research about the rural digital gap in Latin America and the Caribbean for the Inter-American Development Bank and for Inter-American Institute for Cooperation in Agriculture. Then the idea with this research is to feed hemispheric conference about digital agriculture and to develop with the IADB, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation in Agriculture and other key actors to develop some strategic lines to create policies around the rural digital gap and electronic agriculture. Then the idea today is to discuss, have a conversation about this topic in the Caribbean, and especially try to identify and highlight good practices or suggestions and recommendations to integrate in this document that is going to be presented next week. Then I talk with Yasin and with the Alliances for Affordable Internet about the possibility to jointly discuss around this issue with all of you and the civic community. then this is the reason why we are here, and we appreciate a lot your time and your inputs, your knowledge, your experiences. Then the agenda is based in these points. First, maybe a very fast introduction of everybody, and later the objectives of this meeting that I already raised before. And after that, we are going to present the Rural Broadband Policy Framework elaborated by the Alliance, because it's a good framework to understand and to create actions related with the rural broadband and the rural digital gap. After that, based in some very concrete, did you hear me well?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay. It's because there is in the chat Dresde said he's not hearing me well. Okay, and then after that, the idea is to have a conversation around very simple questions about the situation of the rural digital gap in the Caribbean. Then and have some suggestion and proposal to integrate in the document. Then and then the closing. The idea is to have 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, depending on the conversation that we have, to be together and present these ideas. And I'm going to record the conversation if everybody's okay with that. And if not, I will take some notes to integrate in the document. If somebody's not, it doesn't agree with the recording, maybe they can put in the chat and then I don't record, okay? Okay, then the first step is maybe to do some presentation, very fast introductions. I imagine you know each other, but just in case, just to have some very, very fast presentation about where we are and who we are and where we are, maybe. Then maybe we go in the order I have in the screen. Then maybe Navin.
Oh, hello, hi, Kemli. Nice to meet you, and thanks for this. I'm based in the UK, and I've been working on rural broadband connectivity for about 10 years up here with the government. So I'm familiar with the challenges up here regarding the cost of the infrastructure on the supply side, but also getting the farmers and the rural communities to take up the offering on the demand side. I'm from Trinidad, so I have a special interest in the Caribbean. So that's why I'm on this chat. So looking forward to what the discussion is all about. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yasin, you know already. Yasin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, maybe some don't know me. I think most get some emails from me a few times a week. I'm Yasin Kalari. I'm based in Dominican Republic. I'm working for the Alliance for Affordable Internet as regional coordinator, but also on a personal basis, I moderate this Caribbean ICT virtual community since 2002, where we have about 600 people exchanging, or more, sometimes exchanging information, let's say, and discussing from time to time on some issues on regional ICTs. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Yasin. Michelle, Marius?
Hello, everyone. I'm just here to listen and see.
Michelle, your microphone is off. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, yes. I'm just here to listen, just learn about more of what is going on in the rural broadband space, and at least to probably contribute to the policy discussion that is happening.
Thank you, Michelle. Where are you based?
I'm in Jamaica.
Okay, thank you very much, Michelle. Betty? Betty Fausta? Okay, maybe we wait for Betty and Edward Williams.
Excuse me for the mic.
Go ahead, Betty.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Betty Foster from Guadeloupe, French Indies. And I currently have a company of software development in open source. And we develop low tech and some software can maintain the, energy, okay, and maintain the for green tech, okay. And I'm interested about this topic because I worked many years ago for apps who are working about the Senegalese sticks, I don't know if you know the Senegalese sticks. There is a lot of problem about that diseases in Caribbean, and we develop apps to follow all, people have cows, can take care about the cows and other animals to follow everything about their treatment, about what's happened, about this disease, have to have some analysis. So this is my curiosity and to hear what's about this program. I already met Yassine many times. I think when he commits in some project, normally it's something serious. So I trust in him. So that's why. Another reason, that's why I'm here.
Thank you very much, Betty. Now, is there Williams?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you again, Kemi. My name is Deirdre Williams. I'm based in St. Lucia in the Caribbean. I'm currently working on something to do with ICT and a sustainable future. And agriculture is obviously a very important part of that, especially in the Caribbean. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adiola Banis.
Hi everyone, my name is Adiola Banis. I'm from the Commonwealth of Dominica, but right now I'm in the US. Last year I helped to set up a community Wi-Fi in a rural area that hasn't had connectivity for some time, which is why I'm interested to come and listen to what other people are doing and maybe how we can improve on the network.
Thank you very much, Adiola. Riaz Baldio.
Hi, everyone. My name is Riaz Baldio from the University of the West Indies Open Campus. I'm here to learn about this initiative and the way how the university can contribute to its execution. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Maiko?
Yes, hi, my name is Maiko Nakagaki and I'm Yassine's colleague at A4AI. Thank you for organizing this.
Thank you. Kilo Julian.
Hi, Kilo Julian. I'm based in Haiti. I'm working in the telecommunication industry as a BI intelligence manager. And since I'm from a country which is called basically an agriculture essential country, so I will be interested in knowing how we can, for sure, create that bridge between the rural and the urban area. So basically, it is why I'm here. And probably, as you know as well, Haiti is facing a huge exodus of people leaving the rural areas to the urban regions. So basically, I will be interested in what we can do in order to reverse the trend at least. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wanda? Wanda Perez. Hello, Wanda. Do you have the microphone off?
Wanda came in a bit late. Maybe she was not aware that we were doing some
Okay, thank you, Yasin.
Wanda,
Carlton
cuando puedas, una palabra, ¿quién eres? And we have also Carlton that just joined, our dear friend Carlton.
Yes, Carlton Samuels. Then maybe you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Carlton Samuels. I'm joining this conversation. Good to see all of you. Hi, Yasin. I haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're keeping busy and safe. I'm very much interested in hearing from all of my colleagues what their thinking is about this problem we know we face in the Caribbean region. So I am here to listen and pick up as much as I can, as well as to kind of communicate and join with my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carlton, where are you based?
I am in Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All, I don't know if I'm missing somebody.
Wanda, ¿nos escuchas?
Yes, good morning, everyone. How are you?
Hello, Wanda.
I'm sorry, I have like 20 masks. I am on the street and I was having some problems.
Okay.
Mainly, I am ICT consultant. I am the project manager for the Internet Society chapter at the Dominican Republic. I also work for DIPLO as the Caribbean region curator, as one of them, because there are more, for internet governance stuff in the Caribbean region. I also work as project manager for Productive Business Solution at the Dominican Republic. But mainly, my main interest here is for my role in the Internet Society Dominican Republic chapter.
Okay, thank you very much. Then, thank you very much, you all. I think everybody introduced himself. Yes. Then now the next point in our agenda is for Yasin to present the digital rural the rural broadband framework, policy framework. And then Yasin, the floor is to you.
Thank you, Kemli. Yes, so, where is it? This is not the right slide. Hold on, I'm having problems. Okay, so yes, and by the way, I am in a rural area. I've been spending these 4 months of confinement in a remote area, like 200 kilometers from town, with a weak, sometimes weak connectivity, on and off, but it's basically a 3G. So if my connection goes down, it's this reality of the rurality of the broadband. Anyway, so the Alliance for Affordable Internet, which some of you may know, we had recently a webinar presenting another of our advocacy and research work on meaningful connectivity. It's an alliance about more than 90 organizations from all sectors: governments, donors, research, NGOs, technology companies, working together to achieve universal access, universal use, adoption, meaningful connectivity, and affordable and meaningful connectivity for all. So this is one of our most recent work, which is basically promoting the idea that if we want to achieve meaningful and affordable universal connectivity, we need to have specific policies, specific strategies, specific targets for the rural areas. as we can have for other areas. We have a lot of work, for example, in gender. So we also have a digital gender framework that we work with, that we promote. So this is the other area. This is about the rurality. Why so? Because according to the data we have, and this is based on 15 countries that do report disaggregated data, disaggregated rural urban data on households connectivity. And we see there is a huge gap in getting households connected from the rural areas across those 15 countries is less than 15%, while the urban areas is more than 40%. So there is this divide that we need to address. This policy, I'm making it very quick. I'm trying to do all my presentation in less than 7-8 minutes. So just to develop this policy, it's a work, by the way, that was developed with partners that include the Association for Progressive Communication, CIPESA, their foundation, and Facebook. So it's not a work that we've done alone, but with several partners. The criteria for us to develop this framework that has enough quality was that this, for the policies to be a part of the framework have to be enough, have to improve the availability of high quality, affordable broadband services in these underserved rural areas, has to draw lessons and to look at other areas and what has worked and not in the specific context, has to combine the possibilities, the resources of different sectors, private, public sectors, has to be comprehensive and address both the demand and the offer. So affordable offer and stimulate demand, has to be gender responsive, and has to use evidence and standards at all the different steps to be defined, implemented, and monitored. So we have this also has to be developed with a broad participation of all sectors, has to be transparent in how the decisions are made, and has to allow all the rural stakeholders and the people involved in the different areas to be participating in the development and the implementations of these policies. I'm just going to go to the next slide and say the different areas that we have identified for having specific policies for the rural areas. Meaning, for example, on market competition, we believe that the right set of regulations and policies can stimulate the market to cover the gaps, but it's not the same in rural areas and in urban areas. So you have to have specific competition enabling or competition incentives for competition in rural areas that may not work in urban areas. So that's the idea of having a specific set of incentivizing the market to cover the gaps in the rural areas. For the regulatory processes, we also think that we need to develop a specific thinking around the same regulation may not apply in dense urban areas and in rural areas where not only the context, the market, the geography, everything is different. So we might think of having specific set of regulations and processes to develop infrastructure in the rural areas. Just hold a second. I think I have someone to admit here. Admit. Okay, done. So we think that the universal service funds have also to have specific targets, specific projects, or specific mechanism for the rural areas that might be different from the urban areas, and we have then to improve this the public access and universal service how it works in rural areas. Spectrum, also we are proposing in this framework to have a differentiated spectrum policy. So it's not the same thing, or the spectrum is not being used the same way in rural areas and in urban areas. So maybe the economics behind it, the market analysis, the way the spectrum is allocated and used can be also differentiated, and we can promote to have to make more spectrum, more spectrum, let's say a cheaper spectrum or more affordable spectrum in rural areas to get the signal and to get the connectivity affordably, no, I would say, get affordable connectivity where it is needed. New business models, new technologies, new ways of doing that. For example, all around the community networks business model is something also that this framework considers that is needed. So specific to rural areas, you may need to develop the enabling environment for these new business models to thrive. Also, in terms of the fiscal policy, maybe the fiscal policy of the sector should consider, for example, if a company is importing infrastructure, is importing technology or things to develop infrastructure. If it's in a remote rural area, maybe the tax would be different. Maybe the tax that the users pays on ICTs also could be differentiated. Maybe so there is a lot of thinking around that maybe we need to use the fiscal tool as an incentive to have more offer and demand in rural areas. And of course, stimulate demand that's relevant content in local languages, relevant to the people who are in these rural areas, training, capacity, services that are relevant and needed and specifically for the rural communities and the people in rural areas. So all of that together with the specific monitoring and evaluation and the accountability processes is what forms the framework. This is just the basic principles of this framework that, we start working on. The next steps will be to develop a set of case studies that will show how this works in some places, in all these different elements, how this is effectively being implemented. So we can help through technical assistance, through support, through networking, different governments and countries to adopt their own rural broadband framework. So basically that's the idea. You have a link here. You can check the brief. It has a lot more detail about what just quickly mentioned. The idea is basically you can have specific set of policies and regulations that will help you cover this rural digital gap.
Thank you very much, Yassine. Thank you very much. I think we have a little bit of time to maybe open the floor in case you need clarification or want to have some reaction to the framework that is presented by Yassine and by the Alliances for Affordable Internet. I don't know if somebody wants to speak. I see in the chat some agreement with what is presented, especially with the differentiated spectrum policy and fiscal tools adapted to the rural areas. And I don't know if someone want to discuss a little bit about or have some inputs again or some feedback.
Can I say something though?
Yeah, of course then.
Yeah, no. Thanks, Yassine. That was a good introduction, and I've reviewed the framework documents. I just want to ask though. I see there's a lot of emphasis on 4G and wireless broadband to the rural areas as opposed to getting full fiber to these communities. I'm just thinking because full fiber is future-proof infrastructure, and it would be better to have those targets set rather than the wireless solution.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something?
Yes, maybe, Yassine, maybe we can see if someone, another person want to react, and you take some reactions together.
This is Carlton.
Carlton, sorry, go ahead, excuse me.
That's all right, thank you. Yeah, we would definitely welcome wired broadband using fiber, but that's a Rolls-Royce solution that nobody can afford. That's the reason why the reason why we have the divide is because of the economics of it more than anything else. And so the answer is not going to be to increase the economic cost to implement it. That is why we have to look first at those technologies that will allow us to provide broadband bandwidth to rural areas in a way that is affordable. I believe that we can do that to start if we have a differentiated spectrum management policy. And I really do thank Yassine for emphasizing that in this report. I mean, you know, we've done some work, Yassine and I, around these issues, and it's still there, and I still believe that it can be addressed. I am going to ask all of you to look at the consultation paper about spectrum management policy put out by the regulator here in Jamaica, Spectrum Management Authority. And I would urge you all to make your comments to this paper, because we have to prompt the regulators to start thinking differentiated spectrum management policy and the fiscal tools that are associated with making that possible. They have to make adjustments to it. For example, they're talking about spectrum pricing. And if you have a differentiated spectrum management policy, you have to accept that the pricing for spectrum is going to be different to ensure we have coverage rural areas. That's pretty much what has to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlton. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carlton. Just to that, often spectrum not being considered as a fiscal income tool, but rather as a universal service possibility is where we encourage to think for the policymakers and the regulators. You can either see spectrum as something that will take income to your central, to your government, or that will help you achieve universal access and thus increase the social and economic development in the rural areas. So that's the trade-off. As you said exactly, the fiber for all will be the universal fiber for all will be the dream solution. But if we want to achieve our targets of universal access in 2020, I mean 2030, or the ODS was 2020 or 2030, I don't remember anymore. But anyway, the idea that we need to move quickly, more in times of COVID, where having households connected is a factor of social and economic resilience in the countries. Having quickly covered and cost effectively, as you said, is probably what makes the choice to go to wireless instead of wired. I'm re-accepting someone. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Camille.
Okay, I don't know if there are other comments or questions to the framework. No? Okay, then thank you very much, Yassine, for presenting this proposal from the Alliance, and that open very well the discussion, and we want to have all together the next part of this beautiful meeting is really an open floor to discuss a little bit more about, based in our experiences and our knowledges, discuss a little bit about the rural digital divide in the Caribbean. And we are going to do that based in 3 groups of questions. The first one is a general question around if there are, or if there is, a rural digital divide in the Caribbean, and how does it impacting the development of the region. Then I don't know if somebody would like to address this question based in really in your experiences and knowledges, not necessarily in data, or if you have it, okay, but is more based in our expertise and yes, and backgrounds and work that we are doing. Then I don't know if someone would like to discuss this question, these 2 questions about how it's expressed the rural digital divide in the Caribbean, and what does that is impacting, and how that is impacting the region, the development of the region.
Yeah, if I may, Emily, just before we go around the table, there are many Caribbeans. I mean, Dominican Republic, Haiti,
yes,
might be very different from,
yes,
I don't know, St. Kitts or St. Lucia in terms of the rurality and the reality. So that's what we want to hear. I mean, I can present the situation in Dominican Republic. There's someone from Haiti here who can also maybe talk about Haiti. But
exactly.
The idea also is know in smaller economies, markets, what's the situation in terms of the rural, urban digital divide.
Exactly. This is very, very important in this discussion, and very interesting, because there are many Caribbeans, as you said, Yassine. Then I don't know if someone want to address a little bit this question, or to share with us some ideas around the question.
May I start, Kemli?
Of course.
I was wondering whether it would be useful to consider this question now, post the virus arriving, because agriculture is not valued as it should be. Education may have a higher value, and I know that in St. Lucia, the virus hit us where it hurts when we tried to shift to online learning. And that information may be very readily available at the moment if someone goes to look. I don't know, just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trade. Is there someone more would like to address in its country or experience?
Okay,
hi.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I do agree with the last comment or question that education is a big concern right now because of so many schools using online learning and remote learning. And definitely in Dominica, there are communities that have not had their internet service restored since Hurricane Maria. So it's been years. And students in this area are using cell phone data. They're having, like the rural digital divide is very stark there once you start looking at education before you even look at other applications like agriculture. So yeah, it would be interesting to maybe hear how other people have dealt with this, or how if community Wi-Fi has been implemented in other places, or how people deal with those issues.
Thank you very much. Some other participant?
Just a quick one from me. I mean, my view on digital divide, rural digital divide is pervasive across the globe. The impact on development would be the lack of or no access to modern applications and functions for farmers and rural community to use. So that would be the problem there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just wanted that for me, and I've been working a lot in rural communities across Dominican Republic at least, but also across other countries in the Caribbean. But in Dominican Republic, the income, the average income of a household in rural areas, maybe 10 or 20% what is already in urban areas. So the poverty rates where I live is about 60-70% in this municipality of families living under the poverty line, while in the country is 40 or 30. So it shows already that there is an income disparity, access to jobs, access to public services, access everything. So if you come to compare the cost of connectivity, it's much higher. We don't have home the same connectivity that have households in town. Here we only have through mobile, so 3G, 4G, so it's much more expensive data plans with limited data and everything. So the one who would most need it, the rural people, have it more expensive and more difficult to access, plus the other issues of electricity, literacy, capacity, and everything. So basically, this inability of having the same kind of services at the same price and with the same ability to use is increasing the social and economic divide in the country. That's what I see every day. So those who are in town, even if they are poor, have more access to a lot of things than those who are in the rural area, and it costs them more in the rural area to get access to the same things. So this digital rural divide is basically increasing the social and economic urban-rural divide too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Yassine. I don't know if
this is Carlton.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you, this is not rural now, this is urban. And this divide, this COVID-19 crisis has sent a message to everybody. I chair a school board, I chair 2 school boards. They're inner city schools right in the middle of the city of Kingston. And one of the biggest problems we have in the emergency remote teaching was access by students to the technologies, not just the technologies, but also to the network bandwidth that they need to participate in remote teaching. And that has come to the fore here in the last little while. And it has to do with, while we have coverage, the people who really need to access the bandwidth so that they can get onto the teaching learning platforms, they can't afford it. We had people who were, most of them are prepaid customers, and they could not access even the minimal product groups that were given by the operators to enable what they consider to be low-cost access. And that's a real thing that's happened here in Jamaica that I'm very much involved with and working very hard now to figure out how to do this. And we've tried a couple of things to do. We've tried localized Wi-Fi networks. We've tried several other things, like literally running around with like a access point that is capable of broadcasting in a very specified area over a period of time. So these things are immediate, and they are top of mind now. And the structural issues that make these things possible, they have to be addressed. So, you know, it's to me, the rural broadband divide is a small piece of the overall digital divide that we see here, and especially in the area where it's impacting teaching learning operations in the post-COVID era is going to be very important for everybody, stakeholders, every stakeholder, including the policymakers. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlton. Very, very important, all the comments. I don't know if someone more want to raise this question or based in the inputs that we have already, some reactions.
Yes, I can. Could I add something from Heidi?
Of course.
Yes, for us, the situation was basically, we have been able to some kind of leapfrogging in the sense that access to digital services have been able to reach the rural areas through the telecommunications providers. But there's a trick to this. We have all the infrastructures that on top of which the telecommunication services should rely, like basic access to electricity, things like that, that are not really covered and provided by the government or by the public sector, that has some consequences. An increase in the cost of the services provided by operators. So basically, we'll see that rural populations will have less access to those services at that cost. So that almost create a real big divide between the urban and the rural sectors, because telecommunication providers need to adjust their costs, and in their strategy, they will always start to implement some type of infrastructures in the areas where people will be able to pay. Let's say if they are rolling out LTE services, they will do it in the urban areas, mostly at first. And after that, they will start rolling those things out all over the countries. But priority will be given to the areas where people will be able to pay. That has also to be addressed, I believe.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see what Deirdre said. Perhaps worth considering previously the divide was addressed by moving the people to the service, aggregating them. Deirdre, do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Deirdre? No?
You don't have. Can I ask Michelle something?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Everything's gone strange. The point I was trying to make is that previously people put in centers where you could go and use the internet, or places like schools where there was internet provision. But now people cannot go to those places. So the approach to solving the problem has to be rethought. You cannot do it the same way as you cannot do teaching online the same way you do it face to face. So you cannot heal the digital gap in the same way when people cannot go to the service, when the service must come to the people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a little bit difficult to hear you, but I think we understand. If you can write a little bit more in the chat, that will be nice.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask Michelle, because I know Michelle monitors a lot of what's happening in the region. She has an excellent webpage and blog about ICTs in the region. Okay. And I wanted to ask her if she has seen, and maybe also Carlton, who's very much involved in these regional settings, if there was any, if the different countries' government are considering this rural-urban digital divide at some point, if the CTU, the ECTEL, the CARICOM, ICT committees or groupings have anywhere thought about this approach to a differentiated policy and regulations to develop rural broadband. Is that something that is in the radar? If they are concerned about it, if they have any plan or discussed about it, any country or regional, the groupings I mentioned, like CTU and ECTEL, if you have seen anything about that, like really thinking really about rural digital divide, sorry.
Yes, yeah, this is Carlton. Yes, seen. There's been lots of talk about that. I tell you, the way they have been going about it is, well, we can't get it to everybody, so we will bring it into hotspots, and everybody can come to it. So instead of having it in situ, they say with the way we're going to address rural, the digital divide, generally, is that we're going to provide these little oases in the desert where people can come and have access.
Public access.
So you see this in various permutation of what they call access center policy. And that's the way they've been doing. Some of us have been saying that we have to move to an in situ provision for access. And that is to say, you put in the necessary policy framework where people can stay where they are and have access, addressing the things like accessibility, as well as the infrastructure that will ensure accessibility. So we're talking about things like, of course, we have to go and use wireless infrastructure, and we want a policy framework that allows us to put in wireless systems around the country. So some of us are promoting community networks as one way to access that. Some of us have been promoting the policy prescription where we're going to use the digital, what we call the digital dividend from digital broadcasting and recasting some spectrum, some spectrum for Wi-Fi. Some of us have been promoting having even the sidebands of existing spectrum be repurposed. And we've had demonstrator projects around the region, one of which I have participated in the Rio Grande Valley of Portland, to use sidebands of existing spectrum for Wi-Fi and internet access. So there's been piecemeal things. It really requires consolidation and a vision to take us from infrastructure to end user. And that is what we're promoting. And if you look at the CTU, they've been involved in some of the discussions around that at COTED, which is the CARICOM level council that deal with these matters. We are always looking for a push and a pull strategy. So for example, we try to place education and education access as part of it. We've tried to place healthcare and health information access as part of it. In some areas of the Caribbean, you have systems that are already in place that would be enlarged and would be made more robust if we had a better network coverage. So for example, in Belize, they have a community health system that is going on for a long time. They've been using VSAT systems to dump information for them. That could be enhanced if we have a comprehensive policy surrounding infrastructure, surrounding access, surrounding pricing, and so on. So there are lots of these things that are in play, and people have been doing this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But my view, and I'm sure others of my colleagues in the region who've been dealing with this for quite some time, believe that the time has come to have a comprehensive framework. That is why I'm endorsing what you're doing here, because it attempts to put a fence around all the things that need to happen simultaneously to improve the situation.
Okay, thank you very much, Carlton. I don't know if someone more want to, Michelle, Yasin asked you for.
Yeah, before I respond, I just wanted to ask Carlton whether or not some of these initiatives that he mentioned, whether or not they are being government driven or private sector driven. Who is driving that conversation?
Good question, Michelle. A lot of it is being driven by NGOs, actually. In Jamaica, for example, the project I was talking about in the Rio Grande Valley of Portland, that was a USAID project in coordinating with the Ministry of Science and Technology, OUR, and one NGO here that we had on the ground. There are other little offshoots from that. In Belize, one of the projects that I know of that I came peripherally in touch with over there, that project was driven by an NGO that was actually using grant funding. So there's a mishmash of activities, and typically it is grant funding from multilateral or bilateral, and with an NGO, then you have the collaborative kind of framework that involves public agencies and so on. But this is going to be a collaborative situation all the way around. I am not sure that we can depend on the public agency to drive it. They're very much important to implementation. But definitely it has to be, it usually is the instantiation of the projects usually comes from non-governmental organizations.
No, absolutely. I think probably similar to Carlton's observations, they are similar to mine. The thing I suspect that has happened in many countries is that because of the, I guess, comprehensive rollout of mobile cellular services in particular, it has to varying degrees probably given us some sort of, I don't want to say solution, but it gives people an option, especially in the rural communities. However, and therefore I think that there is a sense that clearly they're better than where they had been before, but probably not aligned with what obtains in the urban communities generally. However, I'm not sure to what degree, at least from a public sector perspective and policy perspective, that the needs of the, you know, rural communities have been fully considered, because I have not come across it readily in many of the sort of policy documents that I have reviewed. And I think that it's a headache that countries may not necessarily know exactly how to tackle. I also have observed that, you know, many countries have at least taken an arm's length approach to policy for telecommunications and ICT, at least in recent years. And so may be looking to whether or not it's the providers, the operators, to dictate how and where the networks, the infrastructure, and the services develop. So that, I think, may be an issue that countries need to address to be more proactive in actually shaping the policies. However, I get the sense, though, that there may be a feeling that if they shape the policies, then they need to be in a position to drive it, and whether or not, to the extent to which they want to do so, I think is probably a bugbear that also needs to be addressed. I think also that with respect to mobile communication and its availability in rural areas, I get the sense, though, that because people have access to, you know, telecom services, ICT, so through their smartphones and smart devices, if they can afford it, that there may be a sense that the battle has been won. And therefore, the push, as much as if it is an economic challenge, as Carlton pointed out, to probably look at more fixed infrastructure that can better facilitate individuals, you know, across the country leveraging telecommunications and ICT better, is I think where a conversation that we are not yet having. And I think it's a difficult question. It's a question for which there will be challenging answers, and I'm not sure if we are ready to tackle it as yet.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much. It's at least something that where we have to think all together and promote new lines of action or new strategies. And as you said, not necessarily the ones that are already done and that are promoting. I think working in this in the ruralities, yes, is needed to really innovate about the strategies around connectivity, but also around local content development or around business models. Yes, then is really great to hear your perspective. And maybe I don't know if someone have more to add to the Jacinth question.
I have a question.
Yes.
What could or should be the role of universal service funds to address this issue?
Exactly. This is a question, and because I'm doing that with many different stakeholders and in different regions and in different countries, and this is always the question. Yes, what is happening with the funds? Yes, with the digital solidarity funds or whatever it's called. Yes. I don't know if you have some ideas around what is happening with these funds in the Caribbean, in your countries, in the different Caribbeans, as Jacinth said. Do you have any idea what is happening with these funds?
Could I come in there regarding the funding?
Yes.
So yeah, so in the UK now, it's not comparable in certain settings to the UK to the Caribbean, but what they do up here is they do a gap funding approach, where they provide some funding to the suppliers through a procurement framework. so the suppliers and operators can extend the infrastructure further to the rural areas. However, they put a clawback mechanism in that procurement framework where the suppliers do not over profit from that subsidy. So it is a value for money mechanism or structure. So that is the best use for the fiscal or the universal service fund that they have to be used on operators.
Okay.
Can I come in here?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
The universal service fund idea has to be reimagined. Let me tell you why. The original idea was that we would put a small fee, a small tax as it were, on telephonic services. But they were plain old telephone services. And because those are being hit by changes in consumption patterns and so on, those service funds that were predicated on telephonic use that way are seeing great depletion in the results from them. This is what's happening in Jamaica, for example. We have a service fund that is largely funded, it used to be, by incoming calls. So that has to be reassessed. There is still a role to, our universal service fund has been used to fund a dog's breakfast of things. So for example, we use it to provide libraries and community centers and so on with broadband access, in which we use it to pay the providers. I think that is fundamentally flawed, is wrong. They all have social responsibility clause in their contracts, and I don't think the government should be paying them to provide bandwidth. And I'm talking narrow bandwidth here, 2 megabits at the most, to these areas, hospitals and schools. They tell you, for example, if they pass by a school, they're going to give that school access. It never works in that way. We've been using universal access fund to pay for those things. There are situations where we use it to buy devices, and we use it to for accessibility and to train people to be able to use the ICTs that Michelle talked about. Michelle knows about some of these things that I'm talking about. Those things. I'm aware of the UK situation, what they do. I think we have to embrace that idea, but we have to go somewhere between having what the Americans call an E-rate, where what they do is they simply charge a small fee on every bill that is provided, that is given by the provider. And that money goes straight to a little federal agency called IMLS, Institute of Museum and Library Services. I worked as a contractor with that for many years. And they have a lot of money because they get the E-rate money that they can use to do, typically they use it for what they call STEM funds and so on. So provide libraries and school systems with equipment and technologies, ICTs, as part of that. I think we have to go for something between the UK and the idea is that we have to popularize the payment of the cess across everybody. And the only way you can do that is to make it payable for every service that is provided by the service provider. And then we have to make some adjustments to imagining how we might use those funds going forward. So in my view, the Universal Access Fund policy needs reimagination. In my view, the utilization of the Universal Access Fund's money need reimagination. And I don't think what they're using it for now is quite fit for purpose. Those are my personal views.
Thank you, Carlton. I don't know if other countries have some inputs related with the funds, with the digital funds.
No, just to say very quickly, Kamli, at A4AI, we have a lot of research that addresses the use of the funds and the good use of the funds. And we defend a good use and a wise use, and as Carlton say, an innovative use of the funds where the market is not providing, where policy and regulation stimulation is not enough, where the fund, to use the fund for covering the different gaps to affordability and access gaps. And including rural gaps and general gaps. In all our studies, the use of the fund. It has to be said that some people, particularly in the telecom sector, the private sector, are tending to say, do not, I mean, let's eliminate the funds and give us directly the discount and we will connect those. That's the other, the opposite, let's say, the other side of that discussion. But modernizing the use of the funds for us is a key recommendation. The source of the funds, as Carlton says, in particular in Jamaica with this tax on incoming calls from abroad, that had because the business have shifted, it has to be. But how it is accounted for, how it is spent, how the projects are prioritized, and how do they fit a connectivity policy or a broadband plan, and they're supporting that is very important. And make sure that at all moments, stakeholders are involved in the design of the universal service policy, in the design of the programs, of the projects, and in evaluating them and assessing if they are really being effective and the best solution. I think that is very essential too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know if someone wants to, even with that, input something on that. Okay, if not, maybe to arriving to the closing in 10 minutes, maybe it will be good. We have covered almost the question we had, but something that maybe we haven't talked a lot is about the technology and agriculture. And I don't know if there are some inputs that you want to raise around this relationship. I don't want to call that e-agriculture or digital agriculture, because maybe that makes some, I don't know, some pre-assumptions, yes, and but this relationship between technology and agriculture and aspect we have to promote in the region or good practices. I don't know if you have some inputs in this specific area related with agriculture. Yes,
me? Sorry, me again. I don't want to be speaking too much, but agriculture is one of my interest areas. One thing I want to say quickly is that what would be good for Caribbean farmers and the agricultural sector is to start looking at the Internet of Things technology. I know it needs a lot of bandwidth and infrastructure, but you could use proof of concepts, which is like trials, and to see how it works in the Caribbean. And this would enable a trailblazing effect to get more technology into the Caribbean agricultural sector. Yeah, very useful, very something to look at.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Naveen.
May I?
Of course, go ahead.
About 10 years ago, I attended whatever the Open Campus of UE called itself then. They had a presentation of research from that year. And there was someone from Jamaica, I believe his first name was Saul, I don't remember his surname. He presented an expert system for coffee farmers. And it was a really, really good idea. And it could be copied, used as a model for all of the other things that we grow in the Caribbean. But since then, I haven't heard any more about it. I think expert systems have become old-fashioned. Now we call it artificial intelligence. But to disagree a little with Navin, I don't think we, as a first consideration, want to put more technology into the field. We want to put more information, more knowledge, more wisdom, more of the things that we know about already. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, one and all. I know time's almost finished. If I may, Madam Chair.
Sorry, Donovan, go ahead.
Yes, I am Kevoy Community Development Institute, Jamaica. My input is that as it relates to farmers, one must be mindful of what we call electronic waste, which therefore poses a growing challenge to the Caribbean region's food security. It is all well and good we have all these new technologies, but what become of this when these apparatus and devices finish their usage? They themselves pose a health risk, both environmentally and to the populace, as they leak hazardous waste into the groundwater of the member states in the region. Just a thought I would like to put into the mix, one thinking about when it relates to the introduction of technology and devices into the Caribbean space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donovan. Thank you very much for introducing these other topics also. Somebody? Yes? Go ahead.
Yes, I think it's a little bit for me to bring that on the table again, because it is not related to the agriculture part, but mostly with the infrastructure. And if we are looking at the global stage, there is a fierce competition from big corporations and individuals with deep pockets to bring free basic internet services to the remote communities. Let's speak about Facebook, Google with the Project Loon, Elon Musk. Those people also, they are really focused on this thematic, on this subject. Don't you think the solution could somehow came from them?
Thank you, Kilo. I don't know if someone want to answer to Kilo also.
Yeah, I just want to say, yes, the solution has to come with them. Maybe not fully from them, but with them. Without them, it can't work. So with them, with the help and the support and the collaboration.
Perfect.
Without them, it cannot work.
Okay, something more about digital technologies and agriculture. Some good practices, something to highlight, some proposals. Okay. Perfect. Then I open again the floor. We are about to close. I don't know if something more to add in the discussion, in the conversation before we close.
No, I just wanted to recommend, there are other, I mean, most of the people here are pretty much in the digital area or ICT but from the agriculture side, I know there's been a lot of things happening in the region. A few years ago, I collaborated with CTA, the Center for Technology in Agriculture. We've done things on apps and applications for agriculture in the rural Caribbean. So you might be interested in looking at the CTA, what they have done. I know there is a lot of applications and hackathons have been done and applications developed in all Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, probably also, of course, Dominican, for agricultures and farmers. The challenges are, as usual, in all the areas, no capacity, access to capital, access to finance, access to training, content, sustainability of the applications and all that. So just very quickly that you look at all that. Maybe also what's called the CARICOM Agriculture Institution based in Trinidad. maybe they have also things up with that. I don't remember now the name.
Okay. Before we close, Yassine, I don't know if you want to say something before the closing to close on time for everybody.
No, just thank you everyone for being here, for having given us or shared some of your time for these very interesting discussions. I think we're going to continue. I mean, from A4AI side, we will continue pushing for this the adoption of specific policies for rural, for bridging the rural digital gap. So you will probably hear from us through the usual networks, and hope we be part of it. Again, it's with all that we can really move the policies and the policy frameworks for achieving that.
Yes, Yassine, do you have next steps related with that or not yet?
We are working on developing the policy guidebook on the rural broadband framework. So there will be a set of case studies and tools that will be made public for helping countries develop their own policies, rural broadband policies.
Okay, thank you very much. Then from my side, thank you very much for all the inputs. I hope you enjoy it and learn as much as myself. I'm going to retape to hear again all the conversation and try to get the most of your inputs to integrate in the document as recommendation and experiences. And then I hope I can represent the conversation in this document that we are going to prepare. Then thank you very much, and we hope we continue discussing around this so important issue. There are too much more to discuss, and maybe in a very close opportunity we can go on based on the results that we are going to have with this document. Thank you very much for all, and I hope I see you soon again. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.